guys too.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big part of it too, is resources. That was one of the things that came through was reliable resources, you know. Heather has just joined us. Heather, this is an open forum for you. You can have your video on or off. You can listen. You can use chat to type in questions if you have any for Sarah. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sarah and maybe start with a question. We've had a lot of responses on sleep, stress, fatigue. But I guess we can start off with this question. Why do hormones affect weight gain?
Yeah, what a great question. And I will preface this with my niche, is definitely gut health and trauma, and the way the two are linked. So if you had come to me and you're like, I specifically want to work on my hormones, we would have a much deeper conversation about what, and peeling back the layers of that. So I have lots of resources for everybody, but hormones and weight gain, there's a lot of different pieces that go into that, because the body will hold on to weight when it's under stress. So it's just really kind of interesting how everything kind of comes back to, how are we clearing out our stress? How are we closing out those stress cycles and then moving into like this state of rest and digest? Because if we want our body to not retain weight, then we have to get our body into a place of homeostasis where it can be able, so it can actually utilize and not store. And so there's a whole lot of different pathways that get activated when we are activated in a stress response situation. And so we have to deactivate those responses, if that makes sense. So it's a very complex answer to what could seem like a really simple question. But what I will say is that a primary reason why our body holds on to weight is going to be insulin dysregulation. Hi, Alyssa, welcome. Heather, and welcome too. We are jumping in, and we're talking about hormones and why and how weight is related to hormones. And so that's where we're at. Feel free to put your questions into the chat, or if you want to jump on your screen or jump in with a question verbally, you are more than welcome to do that too. So the biggest piece that I really think is related to, especially for us females, is going to be our insulin. So part of my story is I was diagnosed with insulin-resistant PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, back in 2018. And my doctor diagnosed me with that based on my symptoms. And I have since reversed that, which is super, super exciting. So it is possible. But insulin really plays a role in our body's ability to break down and absorb our nutrients and our converting things from stored fat into energy. And so there's not a really easy answer to this question. And so I don't know, I would love to hear from you guys if you have anything specific about weight gain or hormones, and how it's tied together, for direction for me to answer, because it's kind of too broad of a question. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm really open. There's so much that goes into it. We have different proteins that break down our food in order to, and our neurotransmitters. I mean, it's all interconnected. There's a lot of different reasons. I think maybe the better question to ask is, why is my body holding on to weight? And getting a little bit more strategic on investigating and becoming your own health detective to say, okay, well, what's happening in my body metabolically with my hormones that is causing me to hold on to weight? So for me, for example, in my system, it was very much related to my insulin resistance. And so I actually recently, at the beginning of this year, I just did a new lab, which I'm including in my packages right now for coaching. But it's called Nutrigen Genome, and it takes a look at what my genetics are like predispositioned for. And so there's a couple different proteins where one of them that was activated, or my genotype, is associated with a negative effect on insulin and glucose metabolism. So that impacts my weight. And so it was really kind of cool to get this lab and to see, wow, my genetic type is actually predispositioned to not do super great with insulin. And so insulin and glucose. And so because I know that now, which I could have told you already, like back in 2018, I was diagnosed with PCOS, right? So insulin resistant PCOS. There's 2 different types of PCOS. And so I've been trying to figure out, how do I lose this fluff that I have gained, right? How do I get my blood sugar regulated? How do I absorb the insulin that my body is still producing, so that I don't become a type 2 diabetic, which is the path that I was on. And my dad's a type 2 diabetic, so insulin resistance runs in the family. And so now I know, because of the test, that I have a genetic predisposition for that. Christy, you had a question.
Yeah, more of kind of along the lines that you're saying is finding out, like for me, I was a stress eater. That is where I gained a lot of my weight, was because I should say emotional eater, whether it was stress or anger or frustration or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out that it was my one thing was like my eating habits.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that I found a book, Eating Right for Your Blood Type. And I realized that most of the foods and everything down to condiments that I was eating was adding to my weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
And once I actually started eating the appropriate foods in every category, that significantly made changes in everything, my body,
Mm-hmm.
my sleep. And so resources and sharing the genetic testing and the things like that, I think is going to be really helpful for everyone to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's really kind of cool that there's a ton of resources, right? It's almost overwhelming how much information is out there. It's hard to sift through and sort through, okay, well, what is actually relevant to me? What would have an impact in my space? And this idea of trial and error, let me put some resources, whether that's time, energy, financial, whatever your resource might be, let me put some resources into this space. But then am I wasting my resources? And if my resources are limited or finite, whether that's energy or money, right? What do I do? Where do I go? And so that's one of the reasons Christy and I really wanted to have this conversation, just because there is an overwhelming amount of information out there. And it's like, so the blood, knowing, Christy, you knowing your blood type is helping you get some of those nutrition pieces in order, and it's helping right now. And there might come a time in the future where that is no longer the support that you need. And so then you have to go out and find a new resource, but then how do you know what to do and where to go? And so offering this like Q&A session to you guys, so that we can kind of talk through, well, what actually is meaningful for you? And is this a valuable resource, or is this a crap resource that's just out to get my money, right? Because there's a lot of stuff out there. But yes, the blood typing is definitely a cool resource. And the genome is also really awesome. I have learned so much from this lab about myself. It's so great. Like methylation, like I could like go on for days about this lab and all the information in it. And I'll probably pull it up and show you, but
where would they go to get a test like that? Like, is that through your general practitioner or like your gynecologist or?
Yeah. So okay. So I guess I'll explain a little bit about what I do. So when I'm not training or educating, traveling, doing the conference thing and doing training at agencies and whatnot, I do one-on-one health coaching. And so I'm also a mental health coach and a wellness coach. So I have some different modalities that contribute to the coaching experience, if that makes sense. But what I do with the functional health coaching is I run functional labs. So like I'll show you guys, let me share my screen and I'll show you let me share the right one here. My kitty is here, so she's gonna come jump. Hi. She's fluttering at me and saying, I want to come snuggle. So she'll make an appearance, as she does on every session. All right, so can you guys see this Nutrigen genome report?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is any of you guys can go and do this. The test is $350. You can order it yourself. And it comes back with just this massively awesome information about all of these different pieces. So your macronutrient metabolism. So we talk a lot about nutrition, right? And the wellness and how we are what we eat. We're also what we digest. So if we're eating good food, but we're not digesting it properly, then we're not going to get the benefit from it. But with this lab, it shows me that, wow, I actually have a high need for omega-3s, right? So when I supplement with omega-3s, I want to be intentional with that. Like I have a higher need for it. I also have a high need for B12 and choline. Choline is essential for our methylation process. So if we don't have choline or betaine, it's an element that helps to break down and then transport things. If we don't have that, then even if we're eating really well, we're not taking those nutrients and passing it along through to the different systems that need it to function. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just a really cool lab. And I'm not going to go through all of it, but it gives great information, like the most ideal time for my genes to eat breakfast, to eat dinner. And I'm at a high risk for late night snacking. And I can tell you that I already knew that. Like if I have a late night snack, I don't sleep as well. My blood sugar is really wonky in the morning. So I could have told you that, but now I have an idea as to why, which is so cool. And so what I do with this lab and my clients is I break this down and we talk about a strategic individualized plan for you based on your genetics and based on some other labs that I can do. So like, for example, with hormones, it says I need to have my breast protection be a medium priority. Sorry for the dinging. But like I detox my estrogens pretty well. Like I don't have to make that a huge priority. Obviously I don't have it. And like my T3 and T4 plays a role in your thyroid. So it just gives really great information. It also, I mean, okay, stop. She needs to be introduced so that I can put her away. Hi, this is Fiona. She lives her best life on my lap while I'm talking to people and trying to train. Sorry about that, guys. She's a lot right now. It does also show like what my strengths are. Like I do great with different things. I don't know. It's a great lab. I'm not going to waste our time or spend our time on this, but just to give you an example of one of the tools that's out there that you can use to be your own health detective and really understand what you need, what is strategic to you. So if you do end up getting this lab on your own, you can schedule a one-off session with me and we can go through it and talk through the individualized things. But I think coming back to that question about hormones and weight gain, really it's about asking that strategic question. Why is my body holding on to weight? What is individualized to me? What resources do I need in order to really figure out what is the next right thing for me?
Do you know if so you said that genome test was like, you said $350?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if it's eligible to be covered by insurance or is it completely out of pocket? Okay.
No, it is 100% out of pocket. And had a client of mine once say, insurance companies don't like you. And so and I was like, yeah, I don't really like them either. I don't agree with the racket that is insurance. I have a lot of very strong thoughts and opinions about all of that. But no, most of the lab testing that I run, it all falls under like a quote unquote like self-healer category of like you can spend your money on it, but it's not going to be covered by insurance companies. And which is fine. And a little frustrating at the same time because we pay for insurance. So it's like if we're already paying for insurance, but insurance doesn't cover the things that optimize my health, then it's a waste of money. So just yeah, so it is not covered by insurance. If you're lucky and you're having unlucky and having gut health issues and lucky enough to get into a GI specialist who will run a GI map, then you might be able to get insurance to cover it. But generally speaking, no, it is not covered by insurance.
Okay.
Unfortunately. And Heather, great question. This is not the only site that you can get genetic testing done. This one is my favorite because of the layout of the report. Like I didn't go through a whole bunch of spaces on it, but it gives you a really easy to read and interpret report with like personalized grocery lists and ask for this blood work from your doctor, which should in theory be covered by insurance. And then it also, if you're a nerd like me and want to understand the why or understand the specific gene that is playing a role in either the function or dysfunction of a system, it also gives like detailed description of the genes and all of the data that supports that gene information. So you can really, if you want to nerd out like I do, or you just hire someone like me to nerd out for you and then help you get down to brass tacks. So, but no, to answer your question, no, this is not the only site that offers it. It just happens to be my favorite because of the way it's laid out. That's a great question. All right, what else? Okay, she's back up on her porch now. She's Princess Fiona, and I just live in her space.
I will say, just kind of in relation to you, back in, I think 2023, I was diagnosed with PCOS, and she said that it would predispose me for like insulin resistance. But she never like elaborated on it. And just kind of a little background, I was raised like fairly conservative, so I was never educated on women's health or hormones or like your cycle, nothing. So a lot of that I'm figuring out for myself for the first time in adulthood, which is kind of why I wanted to do this webinar. But I remember when I asked her basically like, well, what is PCOS? She just like looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, well, it's easy to explain. So just look at it, like Google it when you go home. So I switched doctors. I went to a naturopathic doctor, but I was never really given like any information on what I can do to resist or to prevent insulin resistance, or make PCOS easier to navigate, I guess. More of a statement than a question, but
yeah, no, and I had a very similar experience with the last time I actually went to an actual doctor. It was my OBGYN. I'd been seeing her for a decade, and I had gained 40 pounds. I was really frustrated. Like I couldn't lose the weight. I was doing all this stuff, and I was still on birth control at the time. And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm really frustrated. What's going on? She's like, well, you have PCOS. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? And she's like, well, I want to put you on metformin and, we'll go from there. And I was like, can we pause? My body, I said this to her, my body does not have a metformin deficiency. Can you help me figure out what is going on and like what I need to do to change? Like, I'll do what I need to do. Like, health really matters to me. What do I need to do? And she said, I kid you not, this cute little Greek lady looked at me and said, I don't do that. You're going to have to work with your functional practitioner on that. And I said, thank you so much for telling me who you are. I'm going to listen and I'm never going to see you again. And I haven't been back. I haven't had an annual like pap smear. I haven't had any annual whatever. And that was in 2018. So that was 7 years ago. And I am healthier than I've ever been. I have more vitality than I've ever had, which is that sense of being alive. And I don't regret for a moment not going back and even questioning all of the standard practices of what I need to be, what I should be doing. Because I also have another philosophy that I don't should on you, you don't should on me, so let's not should on each other. And so I just question all of the standard medical practices. I mean, Christine and I were having a conversation about this earlier. My mom is a two-time recovering breast cancer survivor, two-time survivor. And like the standard of care is to go on an estrogen blocker. Well, as women, we need estrogen. That is part of the reason why menopause is such an awful experience for women, is because we go through our reproductive organs retire and they stop producing estrogen, which is so unbelievably protective for us. And so if you have breast cancer or you are at risk for getting breast cancer, and you have to go through this process of like removing estrogen from your system, you end up with brittle bones. You end up with this like a mental and emotional fog, that because estrogen is so protective for your brain as well. And so I could go on menopause is a whole conversation that we could talk, and perimenopause too. Because what you do if you are not perimenopausal, what you do in the season of your life that leads up to perimenopause and then menopause dictates your experience during perimenopause and menopause. And so everything that we do has an impact later on. And so Emma, just the fact that you're questioning and trying to figure out, well, what can I do now to prevent PCOS from becoming like insulin resistance and diabetes or whatever, right? How do I help my body do what it's designed to do, right? It's designed to like produce insulin and use glucose, right? And to regulate, that system is designed to work. So what's happening that's roadblocking that system from working the way it's designed to do? And that might be genetics, that might be nutrition, like it might be, I specialize in gut health because so much of our systems function in the gut. They start in the gut. Our immune system starts, our hormones start in the gut. Our neurotransmitters, so our happy and sad, or like our brain chemicals start in the gut. So if your gut is broken, everything else is a cascade effect. And so starting with your gut is almost always where I recommend people start, because you can do a lot in a very short period of time to move the needle of your symptoms and your experience. Yeah, there's my little soapbox. I'm reading here. Heather's. Yes.
And I feel like our modern medicine, like all they want to do is just get you on medications. And like when I told my normal doctor, the one before having PCOS, I was like, well, like what can I do to try to help with the I guess preventative care of PCOS, or like making it better? And she just wanted to put me on a different form of like the pill birth control. And yeah, it was just like, I feel like they just kind of start throwing medications at you, and hormonal medications that are not going to make anything better, rather than actually trying to focus on a natural, like a way to help your body and support its natural instincts, I guess.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree with Emma and Heather. Is a natural pathway to health and healing versus medication. is super important. And knowing what supplements and what vitamins and what nutrients you should be eating is super important. And it has helped me get through my journey being a, breast cancer survivor and going through menopause because of that. And now where I'm at, if you're starting out, for those of us who are older and you are starting out with you're premenopausal or you're going through menopause right now, Sarah, can you help us with, I guess, some resources or where we should be going to find some of those natural pathways?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to tap into this, the being just put on medication. And I want to talk a little bit about how the way our medical system is designed, right? Our doctors, people, just like being a first responder, we get into this job because we want to help people. We want to do good, right? For the most part, that's how we get in here. At some level, we're driven by that. And I think doctors are pretty much the same way. Of course, there are people who are motivated by other things too. But for generally speaking, doctors are in the position that they're in because they want to help people. And they are trained with specific tools and to stay in their specific lane. And so like OBGYN, they are specifically trained on women's health stuff, right? Your GI specialist, he or she is trained on your gut health, and that's it. Not necessarily how those systems interact, right? So when I had a conversation with my mom's oncologist, she was at the Mayo Clinic in freaking Minnesota, so one of the top clinics, hospital systems in the whole world, and I was on the phone with with her oncologist talking through, well, here I ran this GI map and she has liver markers that are elevated. So that means she's not really clearing toxins very well. So how is that impacting her estrogen? I mean, she's on this estrogen blocker. We know she needs estrogen to survive. So what can we do to support her liver? And I kid you not, this man, brilliant man, and so kind to have a conversation with me. And the functional health world is viewed very much as like crackpot science, or like not as valid. It's not valid. What I do is not valid to medical professionals, which is fine. I don't need them to validate me. I validate myself, and I have certifications and trainings that validate me. So that's fine. But this doctor said, I don't really know. That's not in my scope. That's not within my scope of practice or my lane of travel. So I can't really answer that question. But it's a really interesting thought and a really interesting idea. So that's the kindest response I've ever gotten from a doctor. And I'm going off on a soapbox, but what I really want to say is that doctors have tools. Pills are a tool for doctors, and they are limited in their tools and resources. So if you can find a doctor who is more of a naturopath or does have more of a holistic or a functional mindset, great, because then they're going to actually talk to you about your nutrition, your sleep, and your exercise, your stress management. They're going to bring that stuff up. They're going to talk to you about, oh, maybe you do need some vitamin D. Maybe you do need some magnesium. That's a great one to blah, 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 But they are limited on their resources, and they're also limited by what they consider to be their scope of practice. So, and that's not right or wrong, but I think it's really important for us to understand what the perspective that they're coming from. So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute. Okay. Resources for the hormone journey. One of my favorite resources, I have a couple of them and I pulled it out here. Dr. Mary Claire Haber. She is one of the leaders in the menopause conversation. She's an MD, and she is currently in menopause. So she is very open about her journey, and she is just brilliant and dedicated to bringing women's health to the surface and to more forward in the conversation. And so she is a part of some research studies out there that are really digging into what we need as women to be successful and to have a successful perimenopause, menopausal journey. This book is a fantastic resource. I highly recommend it. I actually found it in Indy, and it's so cool because it's signed. I found it at the Barnes and Noble in Indy, and I somehow came across a signed copy, which is cool because I like nerd out, and I just am like, I have a signed copy of her book. I'm such a dork, but it's fine. So this book really goes through, and to be honest, I've only read a little bit of it because I have 10 million books that I'm reading right now. But this book really does a great job of explaining and going through the journey and what to be on the lookout for as far as how to mitigate the highs and lows of that journey, if that makes sense. So I definitely recommend. She's one of my favorite resources. Another one of my favorite resources is Jennifer Woodward Nutrition. She and I are trained in the same certification. So she and I have the same foundational training. She just specializes in women's health, and she has a lot of great free content. So Jennifer Woodward Nutrition, I will put her info here in the chat. Woodward Nutrition. I spell it right. Nutrition. So she's got some really great resources. She actually just wrote a book that just came out. That is like a short, quick, easy read for women's health journey. So, and then also if you're in that menopausal or postmenopausal state and you're trying to figure out what you might need, or if you're considering hormone replacement, which is not for everybody, and is for a lot of women. And so one of my favorite places right now is a clinic called MIDI Health, MIDI. They do, I started the conversation with them because I anticipate, I'm 40, I believe I'm in perimenopause, based on a couple different symptoms that are showing up. And so if you have any of the symptoms of perimenopause, you're in it. And you can be in perimenopause for like 10 years before you fall down the slide into full-blown menopause. And so MIDI Health is a great clinic. I started the conversation with them because they're national, so I met with them via telehealth, and they will do prescriptions for all sorts of, like, for hormone replacement, for thyroid, for whatever you might need. And so they specialize in women's health. So that's a great resource, and covered by insurance. And so it's a great resource for all things women's health. Yeah, so before we move through, I wanted to come back to Patricia's question about probiotics, kind of switching gears and going into my favorite. I'll just tell you what my favorite probiotics are. Not all probiotics are created equal, and I actually have a whole program called Get Your Gut in Gear. And I have one full, it's 12 sessions, it's 12 modules, and one full module is 100% about probiotics. So there's a lot of information about probiotics, but I will tell you that my favorite general probiotic is by a company called Microbiome. It's called Megaspore, and it's a spore-based probiotic that is just a fantastic general probiotic. It really depends on what you need. Oftentimes people, like, probiotics tend to be like kind of the in thing. But more often what we actually need is a prebiotic. So getting that prebiotic fiber. My two favorite supplement companies are going to be Microbiome. They specialize in gut health. And all of their formulas are based on clinical research on bacteria and spores, basically. So, and they just are, I vet the supplement recommendations that I make. So all my clients know what they're taking, why they're taking, the goal for how long to be taking it. So Microbiome, I'll put it in the chat here, is my one of my two favorite supplement companies. They have a couple different probiotics, but my favorite one that are more strategic for strategic purposes, but the general one is going to be called Megaspore. Yes. So hopefully that answers your question, Heather, and you're more than welcome to jump on the any of you guys. I love that we've got a few more people that have joined. Any of you guys can jump in and ask your question, or Heather, hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully. Yes, Christy said the Get Your Gut in Gear session is, session 1 is free in your course catalog. And then, yes, good, Heather, I'm glad. That was one of our goals, was to get you guys some good resources. So Get Your Gut in Gear is available through your Mo platform, Mo 911. I think we have it listed for $9.99 because it is a 12 module course. It might be $7.50 though. So I don't know. That's something.
Do you know, is there a difference between, because I'm looking online right now and there's like the microbiome Megaspore biotic, there's the pills and then the gummies. Is there a difference, or?
Like my kid has super sensitive, doesn't like taking pills, so I have him on the gummies. I don't recommend generally the gummies, and just if you can take pills, you're better off doing the pill form.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, if you want good supplements, and if you want, as for all of you guys for coming in today, I can put you into my Fullscript account and give you a 10% discount on supplements, give you access to the best supplements that are on the market. Because if you want a good supplement, you are very unlikely to find it at Kroger or Walmart or Walgreens. Like the supplements that are sold there are, forgive my French, but they are just shit. Shit. And you get what you pay for. So if you are paying $5 for a magnesium supplement and versus like 20 on Fullscript for a respected, not even respected, but like a high quality supplement, then I mean, you're going to get what you pay for. You'll have to take 2 to 3 times more of the cheap version at Kroger or CVS or Walmart than you would taking the good supplement from like Microbiome or Cellcore or Designs for Health or any of those. Go ahead, Emma.
What's the difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic?
Is a great question. So prebiotics are designed to we're basically run on bacteria. It's really crazy, but the bacteria in our gut produces our hormones, our neurotransmitters, our immune system. And so in our gut, we have different families. And so just like a family has a lot of different members, each one of those families has a lot of different strains of bacteria underneath that family. And so there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria, and they are constantly vying for the terrain of your gut. Okay. They are constantly fighting over who gets more space. And so when you have a good balance of the good and bad bacteria, then they each do different things. And that's when your gut works really well. And so before you eat, having prebiotics are a fiber, basically, to get your good and your bad bacteria, mostly your good bacteria, like the engine's revved up, like, yeah, we're awake, we are going to like digest this food and we're going to produce the things and we're going to go and do the stuff, right? So prebiotics are designed to really support the good bacteria that you already have. So probiotics are really more designed to replenish and repair what's there. So that's why I say prebiotics almost are more important than probiotics, but probiotics are the thing that are in the they're out there, right? They're like the popular thing, or the kind of, not the fad, but they are kind of a fad. They serve a purpose, and there's a reason why they're popular, is because they serve a really good purpose. Great question.
I'm assuming you can take both a probiotic and a prebiotic.
Yes.
So you said taking a prebiotic. Did you say something about taking it before eating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Prebiotics, like, so for example, I based on my genome, I know that I have a higher need for prebiotics. So I actually take Microbiome's Mega Pre, and I do a thing called muscle testing, which is where I basically ask my body, do I need this today? And like for the last 2 to 3 days, my body's like, yep, I need some prebiotics. And at this moment, I'm fighting a little bit of a bacterial infection. And so my body needs a little bit more support. And so I'm taking prebiotics, and then I muscle test. So like I ask my body, do I need this? And it tells me yes or no. It's really wild, but it's true and it works. And that's how I can get more strategic and more specific about what I'm doing and giving to my body.
Thank you.
Great questions, Emma. I love it. Well, I want to honor and respect that we are definitely over the hour for the Q&A webinar. So I love this. This last hour is just such a great example of like what I love to do in coaching, and what I do have a wellness coaching group that I'm not doing a ton with right now, just because I haven't had a lot of participation. But I love offering you guys just real tangible, practical support in your healing journey. And I would love to see you guys in May, where I'm doing a more specific women's health webinar. It will be $20 if you register in advance, and $25 if you register after the fact. So it'll be a class that you can take afterward. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the Dutch Stress and Hormone Panel that goes into how do we know what your levels are and what does it mean, and talk a little bit more about the role of stress in our bodies and how that impacts our hormone health, and like that's unique and specific to us as women. So I would love to see you guys there. And I would love to connect more if you are interested. We are going to be doing a lot more webinars and Q&As and paid trainings. Like where Christy and I are in the works right now to create a specific 2-hour set training on stress, and getting into the biology of stress so that you can feel more equipped and prepared to be your own self-healer. So like how to recognize when you're in a stress space, and then how do you come out of it? And what's the difference between stress and trauma, because it's a big deal. And so to that end, and then Christy wanted me to share where I'm going to be next. I am going to be at the 9-1 Wonder Woman conference. I'm wearing the 9-1 Wonder Woman t-shirt. I thought that would be appropriate for today's session. But I will be speaking at the conference on foundational health. And I'm really excited about that. If you're able to come to that, it is the first week of May in Indianapolis, which is going to be just an incredible conference. It's going to be different than any of the other conferences that are out there right now. And it's fully focused on health and wellness, like just all the different aspects of wellness. And then we keep your eyes peeled for different webinars that are going to come up, different trainings, and on your Mo 911 platform. And then May, we're doing the women's health. June, we're going to probably do a men's health Q&A or something along that lines. And then I'm also speaking at National APCO in Baltimore. I'm doing a wellness think tank on some version of foundational health and self-care. So if you are going to be there, I would love to see you and connect. And then, of course, you can always reach out to me. I do offer coaching sessions so we can dig into a little bit more of your story. I give discounts to first responders. So if you want to learn more, just shoot me a message or an email, or jump on my calendar to learn more about what I do individually. So I think that we could probably talk all day, but Christy, I'll toss it back to you.
Okay. Yes, thank you guys for joining us. This is the first time we've really done a live Q&A with our instructor. So I hope you found that beneficial. Sarah does have a couple classes. One is called Leaky Gut, What? And then Get Your Gut in Gear Module 1 is in the your course catalog. So feel free to look into those, and we'll keep you posted. We're going to be sharing a lot more of upcoming trainings, and please fill out the survey and let us know what else you want us to cover, what you thought of today, and to let us to better our experiences on our virtual training. Just want to get that feedback so that we're doing right for you.
Yeah. And also, if you could respond in the survey, I'm sure there's going to be a place where you can type in your responses, but do you want to do more of these Q&As is the question. I would love to hear more. I'd love to hear from you guys if you want to do more of these. Because this is like my dream space, my happy space is doing group coaching like this. So like where we just all kind of show up and we're like, hey, what do I do about this? And what do I do about that? So that's kind of my happy space. So let us know if you want to do more of these Q&As. And that stands for all of you virtual people that are going to watch this after the fact on the recording too. So yes, I agree. It is helpful if people come with questions, which you guys had great questions today. I mean, it's so wild to me how fast 60 minutes goes. So, yeah, Alyssa, I would love to connect. Shoot me an email, or you can just jump on my website and just jump on my calendar, and that's probably the easiest way to connect.
Do you want to put that in the chat?
Yeah, jump on my website, and then there's a whole bunch of spaces. Like, it's kind of, websites are designed to funnel you in different spaces, and so my website is designed to funnel you to jump on my calendar for what's called a discovery call, and it's really to see if we're a good fit for working together, and then what level of work together you would want to do. So none of my stuff is covered by insurance, unfortunately, but yeah, I would love to connect further. I love doing this kind of work. So yeah, jump on my calendar. I'd love to talk more. So yeah.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Sarah, for your time. And we talked about some great stuff, and yeah, an hour does go by quickly. So you guys just look out for some more training coming up with Sarah. And yeah, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.